we are. All right, here we are. Here we are. Here we are. All right, here we are. Here we are. All right, here we are. Rogue Rigger. We're back in the U.S. It's been about a month since we came back from the Worlds. We learned a ton, and our A boat is still coming back from Europe right now, and so our B boat, which is going to be our A boat for this season, is behind me here. And so we've been training on it this past year while our other boat was in the container being shipped, and we've just been kind of sailing it as is. And now we've got Pacific Coast Championships coming up in a couple weeks, and there's a lot of upgrades that need to be done to this boat that we learned while we were in Ireland. So I'm gonna walk you through a few things that we're gonna do here. All right, so this is our other boat. Rogue 2 is what we're calling it right now. It's been in the fleet for a long time, but it's a great boat. It is a water rat. It is a Kevlar Nomex cord, super duper awesome water rat that I've drooled over since I first got in the fleet over 20 years ago. So it's ours now, and we're gonna do some upgrades, some things that we learned while we were in Ireland and some things that we really like that's on our other boat. And so we're gonna update this thing. So we're gonna be putting in shroud tracks here so that we can move the shrouds back and forth when we're raking the mast. And we're gonna be upgrading the actual shroud purchases so that it actually goes to the centerboard cap with flip-flop blocks, because that's the way I like it, so that I can one-handed rake the rig. Pretty much every system has to come out of this boat and get redone. There's just too much of this old Marlowe line with bullet blocks. You know, these old bullet blocks, they've obviously lasted a long time, but we're gonna get some weight out of the boat and upgrade with a bunch of new Harkins and new Ron stands. So a bunch of blocks, bunch of rope, and yeah, we've already replaced like the spin sheets, the spin halyard, the main sheet, the jib sheets, like the stuff that we've been using a lot while we've been training that we like. But now it's time for all the systems to get updated, and yeah, so we'll have the boat ready here in about 2 weeks for the Pacific Coast Championships, and hopefully we'll get a day or two of training in beforehand. So stand by. Here we are back at the home shop, and we started to do work over at the yard, and the little projects turned into big projects, and found a bunch of stuff in the boat that I didn't like, a bunch of old bullet blocks and stuff like that that are just heavy and just not sexy. So they're all coming out of the boat. So brought the boat back home, and now we're gonna install a whole bunch of bling on the boat, a bunch of new blocks. There's just a lot of friction in a lot of the systems, and we need to be able to make fingertip adjustments. So yeah, so here at the shop, and start tearing into this thing. So stand by. Here's all the bling. Bunch of good Ronstand orbits, and then I also like the Harkin Carvos too. So a combination of both, the best of both worlds, I think. So yeah, excited to do some upgrading to this sweet boat. Here's the boat. We stripped out most of the lines and everything that has to go of all the systems. So like the boom vang still here. We got the Traveler that's still here. We're gonna replace the line for the boom vang, but now it's just start replacing hardware and adding hardware, and yeah, so good times. We got Pacific Coast Championships in 4 days. So got a fun week ahead, putting this thing back together and get it dialed in. Stand by. Progress update. Decided to strip off even more hardware. So we'll go for a real nice clean look here. Now we got a few bits to put back on, but we're just gonna clean up the centerboard cap here and getting ready to put the tracks in. So we got that all ready to go, and you know, it all just takes time. You got to think out every little control line, but we did add in these guys. This is going to be our out haul and Cunningham, and then as well, this is our shrouds and forestay. So all integrated into the cap. So yep, progressing along. Good time. Another update here. So I couldn't resist. The centerboard cap was looking a little chewed up and beat up over all the years and different owners and different re-rigs it's had. So I freshened it up a little bit and wrapped it a little bit of carbon. And it's actually just a carbon wrap. So it's like car wrap. I did that on our other 505 and it had some scraps laying around, and I was like, hey, let's see how it looks. So she looks pretty sweet. But yeah, it just cleans it up. I filled in a bunch of epoxy and filled a bunch of holes and everything. So sealed everything up, and now it just has a nice clean look so that we can keep drilling more holes in. So starting to put hardware on. You can see I put in, I went with some low friction rings instead of like the big giant bullet blocks that were on there. And now I'm working on, about to put in the shroud tracks. And so drilled the holes, and then what I did is I got a whole bunch of G10 tubes, and these guys are going to get epoxied in there. It's actually a chunk of mahogany that's in there, that was there for the original chain plates. It's covered from here to here, but not right here. So what we're doing is we put the G10 tube, and then there's going to be a carbon backing plate down there, and that way it just compresses on the tube and not on the deck, and makes it nice and strong and seal it up nicely. So stand by. It's been 2.5 days, solid work on the boat, and it is basically re-rigged. We're gonna stick the mast in it right now, and then trim up a few of the control lines. But yeah, just about everything is in. But yeah, it's been quite the undertaking. Pretty much every single nut and bolt has been replaced. Everything's been sealed, spliced, everything. So ton of work. So a few more hours left to go to dial in everything, and then we'll calibrate the boat. And then tomorrow is the first day of the Pacific Coast Championships at Santa Cruz Yacht Club. Good times. 3 days later, and the boat is officially re-rigged. We have adjustable shroud cars, every string, just about every nut and bolt's been replaced. You name it, it's all ready to go for tomorrow's championships. Just got to load it on the trailer, but I think we're all set. Everything's calibrated. Everything's looking good. All the fancy new lines. Adjustable jib leads. We got in haulers, barber haulers, everything. We got all the bells and whistles. I think we're good to go. This thing's gonna be a weapon. All right, here we are, Alameda Community Sailing Center, and at the beginning of this video, started it out about 1.5 years ago with this boat when we just got back from the 505 Worlds in Ireland. And so I started it out with updating the boat and getting it ready for the Pacific Coast Championships, and so that was like the first phase. And then second phase was getting things ready for Worlds last year. And then during Worlds, we just fine-tuned everything, and so now what you see behind me is the best version of the boat so far. So yeah, that's the thing with 505s, is you constantly trying to tweak them, make them the system's more efficient, and yeah, so it just makes them that much easier to sail out there. So I'll show you around what we've done. Stand by. Okay, so like I said before, 505s, you got to constantly upgrade them and fine-tune them to your liking. And so I think we finally have this boat dialed in to where we like it. I've taken the best of all the 505s that I've built and rigged over the years, and yeah, so this is 8680. It's a water rat, and it is Nomex core, Kevlar, and carbon skins. And turns out at the Worlds this past year in San Francisco, we're just 1 kilogram overweight, which is pretty awesome considering we got a big chunk of lead that's over on the other side the trunk. So I think we're in really good shape as far as the weight, and I think it really helped me updating all the lines and getting rid of all the heavier bullet blocks and wire turning blocks and stuff like that. So yeah, so here we go. So what we ended up going with is center boom sheeting. So you got the center boom sheeting on a rope traveler, and so that's all adjusted here on the seat tank, the helmsman. You got your shroud and forestay controls, so your rate controls all right here that you can do with one hand. And then we move the boom vang on this double swivel Harkin cam cleat setup here, which is really sweet, and it's actually tied into our main sheet, so you always have your vang if you get the main sheet in hand. So we've got that, your jib in and out. So we're barber haulers, and obviously in San Francisco we don't use the in haulers that often unless it's light. So what we did is I put a soft shackle on it, and that can just be attached to this guy here if we ever need it, if the conditions change to where it's lighter, where we deem it necessary for that. But otherwise we leave it over there, so it's one less thing for the crew to trip on when they're going across the boat. You can see I put reinforcements, this carbon plate here, because the tank was flexing a little bit there with the track, and the heavy air, especially when you barber haul out. So when you barber haul out, we've got this block on a riser, and that's so that it's at the ideal location, which with everybody else where we've figured out that's where it needs to be calibrated to, but it's on the riser there. But when you have the barber hauler on, it was actually, you know, it's a big lever arm, it was actually flexing this whole area, so we stiffened that all up. All right, so this is your ram up and ram down. So that's a quick gear change, so I made it so it's pretty accessible for myself, and that's all on bungee cord take-ups here. Keeps it nice and snug right there, so it's easy for me to do fingertip adjustments. And then you've got the main Cunningham here, so it's something that I can reach as well. And then going over here, this is your guy control. You can see it over there on that side. You got the guy control as well. And then your jib Cunningham, which is also tied into the rake, so it's automatically adjusted, but you can fine tune it with here. Pull topping lift. And yeah, so I just refined a bunch of the systems, and super happy with this boat. And the only thing that we broke during the Worlds in San Francisco was we managed to rip the pole eye out of the pole. The rivet just came undone, which is what happens because we're super choppy conditions and we're just jumping off a wave. So, and this thing is bouncing like this out there at the end of the boat, and it just popped off. And so that was our only breakage for the entire Worlds, and so we've re-riveted them and we're good to go. But yeah, it was pretty funny, or say it's funny, but yeah, so we couldn't use the one pole, and so what we did is that because I've got these topping lifts made so that you can quick release them, or you know, it's like a soft shackle, so you can open them up. And so what we did is we jibed, set the pole on the one side over there with the topping lift that's still attached, and then we were able to set the pole, and then during the jibe I would actually go forward, and I undid it from this side and reattached it on the other side, and we were able to jibe and kept the kite up. But yeah, we lost quite a few places doing that, but it was better than retiring. But yeah, so everything's all super dialed. It's got this cool carbon cover plate to keep our jib sheets from snagging. Just all kinds of these little details that make a huge difference. So yeah, so we're looking to get out in the water today for the first time in 2024. Start gearing up for the North Americans, which are going to be down in Long Beach in a couple months. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the projects here on this boat, and yeah, enjoy the show.